Hello to all you guys out there in YouTube land. Yes, it's me again. Well, see YouTube land, social media land. And this is a video series I've been thinking about doing for a while. So I decided, why not? But firstly, I got to change the angle because this look feels a bit too much like an interview. So let's switch you over to that side. So, what am I going to do in this series? This feels a little bit better. I quite like this. It's more relaxed. And this is the feeling I'm going for, just to let you know. I want to take you through a journey of shoes. Because normally people put these videos out there and they talk about shoes and they talk about a specific shoe and they don't talk about the narrative of shoes together. So maybe this might make sense. It might not. It will be just something you can put on in the background and enjoy if you like running shoes. So, what am I talking about today? So I want to talk about the Vaporfly series. Now, unfortunately, I haven't got the Vaporfly 4s anymore. I absolutely tore the soles out of those, and that might tell you something about the build quality or what I use them for. I don't know. But the story of the Vaporflies for me always starts with the next percent, or the 4% here. These shoes are absolutely brilliant. And if you think about shoes, running shoes and drops, I think this was, off the top of my head, 32, maybe 32 to 28 in the forefoot, and 38, 40 in the heel. This kind of was my first super shoe. I remember putting this super shoe on, and I'm feeling like just a million others. This Zoom X, the Zoom X in this was probably the best Zoom X I've ever run in. So bouncy, so responsive. Not much of it though. So you got low plate. So if you think here, you can see where the plate sits. So that kind of real low plate configuration. So what that meant is foam, plate, and then ground. Now a lot of people relate that to a firmer feel because what happens is your foot compresses the foam, hits the ground, you feel the plate and the ground. Also, that engages the plate a little bit more. In my experience, anyway, not talking about anyone else's. My experience engages the plate a little bit more because the ground, the pressure between the foam and the ground is less, so it triggers that plate quicker. But the pop that I got in these, unreal. The main problem with these was this bleeding outsole. Like, it just ripped apart so simply and easy. And the rubber coverage, it was a lot of rubber, but it was thin and it just didn't really grip anything. There was no grip. So weird. I mean, for the time, people were like, this is a grippy shoe, but it didn't grip anything for me. I will say, I love the upper. I love this kind of booty style construction. Like the laces are kind of almost an afterthought, just to lock down. It did mean some bunching in places, but this was a fantastic shoe. Love this shoe. Love it for park run now. Still got a couple of these that I need to put into my rotation, but I just love this shoe. As a Nike shoe, for me, this is what really celebrated Nike. And I don't think when these came out, I was fit enough to take advantage of them. But this shoe was fantastic. Moving forward, you've got now what I call the OG Vaporfly. I remember wearing these and people laughing at that cut at the back. Laughing at these shoes. I remember people calling them a clown shoe when I wore these. But this Vaporweave upper, very plasticky, not stretchy. So the biggest challenge with this was like your foot would there was no give, so it felt very tight. But I love the colorway. I love the way it feels. The bumper plate in the back is really thick nowadays, and the heel count is quite firm. Again, you had that low plate configuration again. So for me, people find it firm. I don't mind a low plate configuration. I just find it more poppy because again, you're engaging the plate sooner. But this was a brilliant shoe. I absolutely loved this shoe. And in any case, I still put it out for a quick 5K. The Zoom X in this, again, reminiscent of that, but slightly more. So I think this is where we got into 32, 40 territory. So, they sorted out, and you can probably see the stones caught in this, but they sorted out this bloody upper. Yeah, there's a stone caught in this. I need to get that stone out. Find a way of pulling it out of the shoe. My God, it's really dug in there. Don't know what I did to run in this, and you know, I need to take that out at some point. But yeah, this was when the rubber contact started to feel real. That last one was slippery as hell. This was a good rubber contact. Felt grippy, felt like it had some. Now you've got two elements of rubber here as well that you can't see, so right there. But this shoe was, for me, the pinnacle of the Vaporfly. I love this shoe. So original Vapor, OG in my head. That Vapor Weave upper was a bit funky, but just a brilliant shoe. Loved it. Moving up. So you might say, well, what's the difference? Here we go. This is now when they changed the upper on the OG. So the upper started to change. You went from a Vapor Weave to a more traditional style upper with a bit more give, more of a mesh style. Really breathable. That's one thing with the Vapor Weave. Vapor Weave wasn't really breathable, but it wasn't thin at all. So it wasn't like it kept things in or kept heat in. It just didn't feel very breathable to me. This was a lot more of a traditional upper. You got your normal, breathable elements. Your tongue, again, not gusseted, totally free flowing. Still quite low on the ankle. The heel cup, again, one of the best. This again, really good shoe. But again, strange enough, I preferred Vapor Weave, even though it just felt more like a race day upper for me, whereas this kind of felt a bit more traditional. But again, I love this shoe. Still love this shoe, to be fair. Still love the shoe. These two are my favorite version of Zoomfly, favorite version of foam, favorite outsole. I just love this shoe. This shoe is absolutely brilliant. Just loved it. And the lace improvement of the laces. So now you've got your serrated laces, absolute improvement. So it's kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But again, love this shoe. Absolutely loved it. So moving on to version 3. This is where things started to get a little awry for me. They started to change. You still got the same kind of heel counter, so bigger, more ventilation, trying to shift some weight off, but it just, I don't know, it never felt right. And then you start having a cutout. So if I go back a stage, it was more like firm, like a full set of Zoom X. As you start to get into this generation, this is where you start to have those cutouts, start to be able to see the plate. Again, it's a low plate configuration, so the plate starts high and comes down and lines, so quite close to the ground. You can actually see some of the plate here. If I'm going to zoom in that gap, you can start to see the plate. But this is where you start to get cutouts to reduce weight. I was never a fan of this. People talked about having better grip. It didn't to me. It felt like Nike was removing bits of rubber to reduce the weight, but this didn't feel like a light shoe. So where the others felt really aggressive, this started to feel like a less aggressive, more comfortable shoe. Started to feel a bit more democratic. And personally, for the Vaporfly, I never thought the Vaporfly should be like what I call a democratic shoe. So a democratic shoe is a shoe for everybody. Never thought the Vaporfly should be that. And this is where, for me, the Vaporfly started edging into that territory, where it started to become a more democratic shoe. I wish I had the Vaporfly 4 with me, but I don't, because I wrecked it. But yeah, this, still good shoe, but again, it felt a bit more democratic. It felt a bit more like a cruiser rather than a racer. In my head, there is a slight difference. A cruiser is when you're going to go out and you can do miles, you can go out, your marathon training. It's like it's that kind of shoe that you can just cruise. But when you really want to be aggressive and fast, when I feel that bite, didn't quite have it. Just lost some of that bite, lost some of that pop. I don't know if it's good or bad thing. Some people it's a good thing, some people it's a bad thing. For me, it just kind of lost some of that Vaporfly. And the Vaporfly 4, when I had it, I'll see if I got some clips or something of my Vaporfly 4. That was what I then called a session shoe. It started to become more of a tempo shoe. Super duper light, they took some stuff off the, some drop off the forefoot and became a bit more of a racer. I think it's really did to define the Vaporfly as like that poppy, fast, light shoe, and the Alphafly then being that kind of marathon racer. I don't know. I didn't quite get what they were, because it wasn't aggressive enough to be that kind of poppy shoe. It became a session shoe for me rather than a racing shoe. But I think this is where it kind of started to make that deviation. This became more of a cruiser rather than a, you know, I'm going to go all out and run in it. Now, I'm not saying people can't run all out. Some people have run some amazing times in the Vaporflys series. But for me, Vaporfly 2 OG, they're the kind of shoes for me. But it goes back to that 4%. That 4% just blew me away. They are still one of my favourite uppers and like running shoes. Don't think there's a lot of life in those now. And actually, nowadays, they feel, compared to shoes we wear now, they don't feel as cushioned in the forefoot. So this is probably as close to a modern day shoe. I think you can still get it now, the Vaporfly 3, on offer and discounts in some places. But yeah, this kind of ended my relationship with the Vaporfly. The Vaporfly 4, after getting that, I thought, never getting another Vaporfly, never doing it, never touching it. Just didn't feel like, I'd not say value for money, but didn't feel like that race day shoe anymore. We'll see what happens when they bring out Nike. There'll always be a new version, new iteration, but it kind of gives you an idea of the journey that the Vaporfly has been on. Now, let me know actually if the Vaporfly is your favourite shoe, what memories you have of the Vaporfly. I've got some real fond memories of running in Vaporflies. Yeah, it would not be my race day shoe of choice at the moment. Anyway, after this, let's flip over there and end this video. So I hope you didn't mind listening to some of my thoughts, meandering and talking about some of these things. I love talking about shoes. Running shoes are just fascinating things. They're so simple as a concept, but there's so much technology that goes into them to make them work. Anyway, this is me saying peace out. Have a safe journey wherever you're heading.